Hello everybody, I hope that you are absolutely incredible and you have had the most wonderful weekend you could have possibly had. So today I have a really important question for you, and this question will play a huge part in how you live your life and the joy and fulfillment that you actually get from life. Life is what we make it. It always happens for us. It never happens to us, depending on the mindset that we choose. And this question can help you switch a decision and lead yourself towards something absolutely incredible and absolutely magical. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Roseanna. I am the host of the Design Your Legacy podcast. It is my hope that with this podcast, I can reach just a few people out there who need some encouragement that life can be absolutely wonderful and we get to design it. We get to design the life that we want. We have so many possibilities and opportunities available to us. We can pick and choose depending on where our heart most wants us to go, and we can absolutely go there. And by designing your legacy and kind of having a vision of where you want to be and what you want to leave this world with, that will help you live your most fulfilled life. So without further ado, my question for you this week is, what are you afraid of? What is it that you are so afraid of that is holding you back from living your best life? We are all programmed to have fears. We are all programmed to be scared. It's our survival instinct. It's fight or flight. It's the which is what we were programmed with thousands of years ago to help us actually survive in this world. We don't really need that programming anymore. We're not about to be chased down the road by a dinosaur. In fact, no, completely different dinosaurs and people didn't exist at the same time. But we're not about to be chased down the road and be a tiger's dinner. You know, we are quite safe, and our programming still makes us react as though we're not safe and we are about to be chased and eaten. So our programming, it makes us treat the kind of your bills are late the same as we're going to be eaten alive, and you know our life is at risk. So our body then reacts the same. It creates adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones, and you know that kind of keeps us in a constant state of stress. This is where I was a year ago, in a constant state of stress, ultimately manifesting into cancer. And you know I had to purge all of this out of my body to start actually living a life that I was in love with and not being in fear all the time. Now, I didn't actually realise I was living in fear. I didn't know until I sat and unpicked it, but now I know, and now I know that I can actually choose a different reality. I can choose a reality that I'm so completely in love with, and I don't have to choose fear. I don't have to be scared all the time. Yes, there are going to be challenges in my life and obstacles that I may need to overcome, and I may need to make some big decisions, but ultimately I don't actually need to be afraid, because what is there to be afraid of, really? Now, it is known in kind of in psychology and science and stuff like this, and spoken about quite widely, that actually the human ego's number one fear is fear of dying. And we're all programmed to be afraid of dying. Like I just mentioned, it's the fight or flight survival instinct. We're also programmed to be afraid of dying alone, which leads us to then make decisions that help us fit in with the pack, not stand out, not follow our heart's ultimate desire in case we're seen as different, in case we're judged, in case we don't fit in, and that ultimately keeps us small. It keeps us not living out our heart's true passion, our soul's true passion, keeps us miserable, basically, makes us do things because we think we should be doing them, because this is what success looks like. And I mean, to me, I don't know about you, but to me, that's actually not, I'd rather be actually living from actual joy and happiness than pretend joy and happiness, the one where you kind of put the smile on your face and pose on Instagram and say, I'm living my best life. Like, actually living my best life is where I would like to be. And in order to do that, we have to let go of fear, and we have to come at our lives from a place of love and a place of kind of knowing where we want to be. So what are you afraid of? Is it that you're afraid of dying? Now, we have a lot of fears on top of that mask the actual fear of death. So if I was to ask you your biggest fear right now, you probably wouldn't say it's of dying, unless you're faced potentially with a health problem, like cancer or something that potentially could mean you might die, or you might be about to do a skydive and jump out of a plane. Then you might fear dying. But actually, I think what you'll tell yourself is that you're afraid of heights and you're afraid of falling, but ultimately that falling means that then you might die. I know when I did my skydive, I was absolutely petrified. I was sat on the edge of that plane, and there's a photo of me, and it is so funny because I'm like this. I am so scared. Sorry, if you're listening to the podcast, you might want to watch the YouTube for that excellent facial expression. It wasn't that great, don't worry. But I was absolutely petrified, and I was so scared that I was going to... I wasn't scared I was going to die. I was telling myself I was afraid of heights. And this is, I've been afraid of heights since I can really remember. And I know my mum's afraid of heights. My mum's afraid of even going across a bridge. So that has then rubbed off on me, and that's become one of my fears. But I was sat on the edge of this plane, so scared of the fall and of falling, even though I'd paid to put myself up there. I wanted to do this. I was so excited about doing it until I was actually dangling over the edge, and I'm strapped to a big guy. He knows what he's doing. He's done this however many times before. I think that's his job. What an amazing job, to help people jump out of planes and ultimately overcome a fear. So I was hanging over the edge, and then we jumped, and it was petrifying for all of about 2 seconds. And it was the most free I have ever felt in my life. I felt so liberated, and just, you kind of going down, the guy is trying to take photos of you, he's trying to tell me to blow kisses. I'm like, I've got no idea what you're saying. So here's me trying to blow a kiss, and all the wind's going in my mouth, and it looks completely horrendous. There is a video of it somewhere. And then the parachute opens, and it's just like a dream. You're then floating down and having the most wonderful time. I think the whole jump is about a minute. I'm not quite sure. It was the smallest, it's 10,000 feet or something. So I think it's a minute and a half or something. But when I got to the bottom, and my friend filmed me, she was like, "How was that? I was like, well, let me just tell you, it was probably better than sex. I was just in ecstasy at what I had just done. It was absolutely incredible. And I was so bloody scared to do it. I think when I'm a bit afraid. I don't really talk, and I get a bit nervous, and I just kind of sit there stiff like a board. And I was sat there, and for about half an hour before, this is what I was like, I was like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. And I was so scared. And, you know, I put myself in this situation, and I knew I was going to be scared, but I knew on the other end that I would be like in a completely different place. And that is exactly what happened. I think this is a really good metaphor to use in life, because there is joy on the other side of fear. There is ecstasy on the other side of fear. And on the other side of fear is where your dream life is. It is, I just can't stress this enough. We are so programmed to be scared of going broke. We're scared of, you know, not having enough money to pay the bills. And if you don't have enough money, what's going to happen? You're going to be homeless. You're going to lose your job. Like, well, if you've not got enough money, you might not have a job. But, you know, you might then be homeless, and then you might starve, and then you might die, and then and the kind of thing, it all goes on. So or if you're afraid of heights, actually it's not the heights you're afraid of falling, and then you might die. Or if you're afraid of not fitting in, say, I'm afraid that people won't like me, then that fear is, if I'm not liked, it goes right back to kind of when we were in tribes, or, you know, we lived in little groups in, you know, in the wilderness, and if I'm not liked, then I won't be looked after. If I'm in danger, I won't be looked after, I won't be cared for, I won't be fed, I will be kicked out of the tribe, I will starve, I will die. That's basically where these fears come from. And then we go on Instagram, we watch TV, we read magazines, we read the news, we go on whatever our poison is for how to kind of punish ourselves when we think we're giving ourselves knowledge or passing time. We're really just feeding this fear, because what we see is we're being marketed to that you're not pretty enough, you don't fit in, your lips are too thin, so you better get some injections in those lips, are your clothes the right designer, or, you know, because if they're not the right designer, you're not going to fit in, you're not going to be liked, you're going to be kicked out of the tribe, you're not going to be good enough, you're not going to be respected, kicked out of the tribe, left to die. You know, does your success look like this? Are you living on a mega yacht, or, you know, maybe not living on, you know, is your holiday home on do you own a mega yacht? Do you own 10,000 Chanel handbags? Do you have this pair of Gucci shoes in every single colour? No? Well, then you're clearly not successful. And then, you know, and then we're not successful, we're not good enough, we don't fit in, and the kind of cycle continues. So actually we're then, you know, we're constantly backing up our fears by the stuff that we consume in our day-to-day lives. We're constantly working to try and be successful. We're constantly, you know, I used to exercise to keep myself thin, so that I was deemed as attractive, and, you know, nothing like cutting all your hair off to kind of challenge that perception of yourself. You know, the things we do on a day-to-day basis are basically to help us survive. We want to survive, and this is all fed by fear. Now, if we were to take away that kind of fear, that survival instinct, and actually spend more time in the present and more time sat with ourselves, not thinking, but listening, and listening to our hearts, and listening to where we actually want to be in life. If the more time we can spend doing that, the more chance you have of making a decision from a place of love. And from that place of love, and so it comes from your heart, right? It's not like, oh, I would love that pair of Gucci shoes in yellow. It is, oh, this weekend I actually just want to go and put my feet in the grass, and I just want to feel nature. And you know, that's what it is for me this weekend. It might be something different for you. It might be this weekend you want to go and explore a new city, or it could be you want to go and spend time with family, or you know, whatever. But if you listen to your heart, it will guide you to the decision for your highest self. And when we're doing that, what we fear is completely irrelevant, because when we're coming at life from a place of love and a place and being guided by our hearts, we're letting go of those fears, and fear no longer controls us. And that just sounds like such a beautiful, that's what life is supposed to be like. That's not what we're told, that's not what society says, that's not what we believe, that like as a kind of collective, that's not what we believe is the case. You know, it's like a luxury. It's like a luxury to be able to kind of do what you want and have this freedom. And actually, no, it's a choice. It's not a luxury, it's a choice. It's your birthright. You, as a soul, are on this planet, in your human body, to live your most wonderful life. You're not here to suffer. You are here to live, and you are here to love, and you are here to understand that you can do whatever it is your heart truly desires. But what's standing in the way of what your heart truly desires are these fears. So my question to you is, what is it that you are afraid of? Sit down, get present with yourself. What are you afraid of? Listen to your heart and listen to what it is telling you. Listen to what those fears are. You will be able to feel this fear in a certain part of your body. I feel some fears in my chest, in my heart. It's like it's blocking my heart. I feel a lot of the fearful chatter comes from up kind of in my head, right? So if I was to say where it was coming from, it's coming from my thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are much more your heart than you are your thoughts. Your thoughts are kind of beliefs, they're programs, they're the software, not the hardware. I think I got that right. I'm really not very technical. I don't so maybe just ignore me there. So you are and when you know what your fears are, you can then work back through them, and you can completely realize what they are. And that is, they're a load of, I love this, they're a load of BS. Your fears are just BS. They are just belief systems that we can reprogram. We can change these belief systems. We can reprogram our minds with new thoughts, and those new thoughts will then create new belief systems, and your fears will start to vanish. You will stop being afraid. My biggest example I have when I was afraid is, not my biggest example. I've been afraid of money and not being successful for a lot longer than I have been afraid of potentially making the wrong decision on my cancer journey. But I had to sit down. I spoke about this maybe the last podcast, but I had to kind of I wanted to stop chemotherapy early because I didn't believe it. My heart was telling me we've done with chemo. It's done the job. We're done. We don't need any more. I was supposed to have another 6 weeks of chemo. We don't need any more. And so I really wanted to. I was being pulled by my heart with where I should be going with this, and I had to sit down and really, really, really go deep and say, right, okay, well, if I do this and make the wrong decision, which, by the way, if you follow your heart, you follow your intuition, you're not going to make the wrong decision, but your ego will tell you otherwise. So if you follow your intuition, you are then, So I had to follow my intuition, listen to my heart, and say, well, okay, so what if this is wrong? What if I make the wrong decision and I die? And I sat down, and in journals and in books I have written, what would happen if I died? What happens? Like, why am I so afraid of dying? And I'm not afraid of dying now. Actually, I'm quite at peace with it, because I know within my soul that my truth is that when we die, it's not over. When we die, I actually believe we kind of, through research, through spiritual research, through listening to other people in the spiritual field, I do, and kind of some knowledge from beyond, and just a knowing truth, knowing in my body, I know that when we die, it's not over. And we potentially graduate to a higher, like our souls graduate, which, and you hear from near-death experiences that actually when they died, these people died, they felt nothing but bliss. And they didn't actually want to come back to Earth, but they did come back to Earth because their journey wasn't actually over. And this near-death experience helped show them that, but they said on the other side it was nothing but bliss. So I take a lot of comfort in that, and I chose to listen to that throughout my journey. And while I was making this decision, like, okay, so then why else am I afraid of dying? Well, I don't want my loved ones to be in pain. And I write about this in the book because I'm like, it's really kind of, is it a bit narcissistic of me to be, I don't want to die because I don't want others to mourn me. When of course they will. A loved one is gone. It is really, really sad when somebody dies because the person we love is isn't in our lives on a day-to-day basis. But another thing to know is energy can't die. We are energy. We are energetic beings, and energy cannot die. The science is all there to prove it. So where do we go? What happens? Who knows? We will never know, maybe in this human form, but when you sit down and unpick your fears and go really, really deep with them and keep asking yourself why. Why am I afraid of this? What am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of that? What might happen if that happens? Why am I afraid of that? So say I'm afraid of not having any money. Well, why am I afraid of not having any money? What happens if I have no money? Okay, so if I have no money, I will not be able to pay my rent. So what happens then? Well, I might get kicked out of my home. Okay, so what happens then? Why are you afraid of this? Why is this so bad? Is it actually as bad as you think it is? And then, and question why you want the things you think you want. Is it ego or is it heart? And this is you can really, really, really start to live an incredible and magical life if you ask yourself, is this decision I'm making from fear or from love? Is it my heart guiding me or is it my ego guiding me? If it's your heart guiding you, you will know, you will feel it in your body. If it's ego, you will feel you have to justify it. It will not be a blissful, this is right for me type thing. It'll be I need to do this. I need to do this. If I don't do this, then this happens. So what are you afraid of? Ask yourself, sit down, get deep, go for it. Don't be scared. And it's going to bring up emotions. Let those emotions go. If you need to cry, get rid of them. If you need to scream. If you want to dance. Like, as you're doing it, release the energy, get it out of your body. And then you can start to retrain your thoughts, reprogram your belief systems, and start listening to your heart more. Be more present, listen to your heart more. And you will be able to live this magical life that you see all over Instagram every day that people are supposedly living. So that is my wisdom from my heart to yours this week, is what are you afraid of and why are you so afraid? You are a limitless, infinite, powerful being, and there are endless opportunities and possibilities available for you. And I will not stop telling you that until you listen, okay? So, so I think that's everything that I want to leave you with today, but most importantly, move towards what excites you and excites your heart. And that is one guaranteed way to live a life that you are absolutely in love with. If you're not sure and you aren't sure, so say you're just living your life kind of as you think you're supposed to, you're just turning up to work, you hate your job, you turn up to work any day anyway because because the pay is good, you get on that tube every morning, you feel bloody miserable, and then you come home and you're not really sure where you're going, you feel a bit like you're floating through life. I have a guide, a worksheet on my website called Design Your Legacy, and it helps you write through the vision of where you want your life to be. I believe that with this vision, we can use it as like a GPS navigating system. We might go off, we can have this vision, it might not work out like that. We might think this is where we want to be, it might not work out like that, but it's like a living document. It just helps you listen to your heart. It's an exercise that helps you listen to your heart, and then you have something that your heart desires on paper, and you can refer back to it. When you're feeling scared, refer back to it. I mean, I'd advise you refer back to your vision every week or so, but yeah, there is this worksheet on my website that I believe will really, really help you if you're not sure, if you're not really sure kind of what the legacy you want to leave is, and if you're kind of questioning where you are in your life right now. Really, really helpful. Download it. I think the link will be below this video or in the podcast. So have a wonderful week ahead. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and don't be scared. Life is absolutely incredible. It is here for you. It is here. You are on this planet to live a wonderful, magical life. Don't let anybody tell you different.